The desert sky turned orange as the sun set behind the mountains. Deep below the sandy surface, John Mercer looked at the huge metal ship that sat in the giant underground room. His tired eyes showed the 15 years he had spent working on Project Umbra. This secret project was humanity's answer to a question no one had asked out loud yet. What will we do when aliens find us? John walked across the metal walkway that hung from the ceiling. His footsteps echoed in the large open space. Below him, workers moved around the ship like ants, checking every part one last time. The ship was called UES Nightshade. It was black as night and shaped like an arrow. It was meant to fly without being seen. Another late night, John? Lisa Franklin's voice made him turn around. She stood there in her dark blue suit, her blonde hair tied back tightly. As the director of operations, for Project Umbra, she rarely smiled these days. The final tests are tonight, John said, running his hand through his short brown hair. I wanted to make sure everything is perfect. Lisa joined him at the railing. Below them, the workers were finishing their checks on the ship's engines. These were no normal engines. They used something called quantum energy, which let the ship move faster than any human ship before. Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing? Lisa asked quietly so no one else could hear. John looked at her. By building ships that can fight back, or by keeping it all secret? Both, she said. The public thinks we're just now reaching Mars. They have no idea we've already sent probes past Pluto. John nodded. This was an old talk between them. 20 years ago, radio telescopes had picked up strange signals from the Centauri star system. The signals weren't random. They had patterns that only intelligent beings could make. The world's biggest countries had met in secret and agreed. Humanity needed to prepare just in case. Project Umbra was born. Hidden bases were built. The best scientists and engineers were brought in, and all of it was kept secret. They'd panic if they knew, John said, looking back at the ship. And we're not ready for everyone to know yet. A young man in a military uniform approached them, walking quickly. Director Franklin, Mr. Mercer, the test is ready to start. Dr. Miller is waiting for you in the control room. They followed him through long hallways cut from the rock. The base was huge, with over 5,000 people working and living underground. Most Americans had no idea that below the Nevada desert, humanity was building its first real space fleet. The control room was filled with screens and people working at computers. Dr. Karen Miller turned when they entered. She was the lead scientist for the quantum drive, the engine that would let their ships travel faster than light. There you are, she said, pushing her glasses up. We're about to start the power sequence. John, Lisa, and Karen stood behind the row of engineers. On the main screen, they could see the Nightshade in its launch bay. Begin the test, Lisa ordered. The engineers started typing commands. The lights in the room dimmed slightly as power was directed to the ship. Quantum core activating, one engineer announced. Power levels rising. John held his breath. This was the 10th test, but only the third with the core at full power. The first two hadn't gone well. 20%, 40%. The engineer called out. The numbers on the screen kept climbing. Karen's hands were tight fists at her sides. This was her life's work. 60%, 80%. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of computers. 100% power. Core is stable. The room burst into cheers and clapping. John let out his breath. Karen was smiling widely, accepting pats on the back from her team. Lisa nodded, allowing herself a small smile. How long until the ship is ready for a real test flight? 1 week, John answered. We'll take her to Jupiter and back. If that works, we can try the quantum jump to Mars the week after. In another part of the base, Major Ryan Cooper watched. The test results come in on his tablet. As head of security for Project Umbra, he wasn't celebrating yet. His job was to worry about everything that could go wrong. He walked the quiet hallways of Sector 7, where the most secret research happened. Only people with the highest clearance could enter this area. Inside these labs, scientists studied the strange materials and signals that had led to Project Umbra's creation. Ryan's radio crackled. Major, we have a situation at the front entrance. A reporter is asking questions at the public research facility. Base had a cover story. On the surface, it was just a regular government research center studying desert plants and animals. Once in a while, someone got too curious. "I'll handle it," Ryan said. "Who is it this time?" "A woman named Olivia West from the Las Vegas Sun. Says she's doing a story on government spending." Ryan sighed. "I'll be right up." At the surface facility, Olivia West waited in the small lobby. She was in her early 30s with dark, curly hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When Ryan walked in wearing his desert camouflage uniform, she stood up. "Major Cooper, I'm Olivia West. Thank you for meeting me." Ryan shook her hand. "Ms. West, how can I help you with your story?" Olivia opened her notebook. "I'm looking into some interesting patterns in government spending. This facility's budget has grown by 500% in the last decade, but there are almost no published research papers coming from here. That's unusual for a biological research station." Ryan kept his face calm, but inside he was concerned. This woman had done her homework. "Much of our work is classified," he said smoothly. "Desert ecosystems might not seem important, but they provide valuable data for climate research and military operations in similar environments abroad." "And that requires a staff of nearly 500 people?" she asked, looking at her notes. "The electric usage for this facility is more than a small town. That's a lot of power for studying cactus." Before Ryan could answer, an alarm began to sound. Not the surface alarm, but the deeper, more urgent one from the main base below. That alarm was never tested during the day. Ryan's radio came to life. "Major, return to base immediately, security level Alpha." Olivia looked at him. "What's that about?" "Standard drill," Ryan lied. "I'm afraid I'll have to cut this short. My assistant will show you out." He turned and walked quickly to the secure elevator hidden behind a storage room. Something was very wrong. Deep below, Lisa and John were running toward the command center. Red emergency lights flashed in the hallways. People moved quickly to their emergency stations. "What's happening?" John asked as they entered the large room with walls of screens. The main screen showed a satellite view of Earth. Several large objects were approaching the planet from the direction of Mars. "We picked them up 10 minutes ago," said the officer in charge. 7 objects moving fast. They're slowing down as they approach Earth orbit. "Could they be asteroids?" Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer. "No, ma'am. They're changing. Course on their own. These are ships." The room fell silent. For 20 years they had prepared for this moment, hoping it would never come. "How long until they reach Earth?" Lisa asked. "At their current speed, less than 30 minutes. John and Lisa exchanged looks. The Nightshade wasn't ready. None of their ships were fully ready. "Send the alert to all Project Umbra bases worldwide," Lisa ordered, "and inform the President. First contact protocol is now in effect." As the message went out, the objects on the screen continued their approach. Humanity had built in shadows, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. That day had arrived. The underground base turned into a storm of activity. People ran through hallways. Phones rang everywhere. Computer screens showed the 7 alien ships moving closer to Earth. Lisa Franklin stood in the middle of the command center, giving orders in a calm voice, even though her heart beat fast. "Get me a direct line to Washington," she told her assistant, "and tell all team leaders to meet in the war room in 5 minutes." John Mercer was already at a computer looking at the alien ships. They were huge, each one at least a mile long. They were shaped like smooth, dark gray ovals with no visible windows or doors. "Can we tell where they might land?" John asked one of the analysts. The young woman shook her head. "They're spreading out. It looks like they're taking positions above different continents." Major Ryan Cooper rushed into the room, still wearing his desert uniform. "What's the situation?" "First contact," Lisa said simply. "The visitors we've been expecting for 20 years are finally here." Ryan's face turned serious. "Is the Nightshade ready?" "For a test flight, yes," John answered. "For actual space combat?" "No." Lisa turned to them both. "We need to get the Nightshade in the air. If these aliens are hostile, we need to know what we're facing." "Who's going to fly it?" Ryan asked. "I will," said a new voice. They all turned to see Captain Samantha Reed walking into the room. She was tall and lean, with short black hair and the confident walk of a fighter pilot. "Captain Reed is our best pilot," Lisa explained to John. "She's been training on the simulator for 3 years." Samantha looked at the screen showing the alien ships. "I can take the nightshade up. Its stealth systems should keep me hidden while I get close enough for good scans." Lisa nodded. "Do it. Take off in 20 minutes. We need eyes up there." As Samantha left to prepare, the base alarms suddenly changed their tone. Now they were louder, more urgent. "What's happening?" Lisa demanded. "One of the alien ships is descending," reported an analyst. "It's heading toward North America. Current path suggests Washington, D.C." The room grew quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. The aliens were going straight to where they thought Earth's leaders would be. "Get me the president now," Lisa ordered. In a smaller control room, John helped Samantha prepare for launch. The nightshade was being moved onto the hidden launch pad, a section of desert floor that would open up to let the ship take off. "The quantum drive is online," John said, checking the systems. "But don't use it unless absolutely necessary. We don't know if it's stable for more than a few minutes." Samantha nodded as she put on her flight suit. "What about weapons?" "2 experimental laser cannons and 1 EM pulse generator. Again, don't use them unless you have no choice. They might not work as expected." "Great," Samantha said with a small smile. "A test ship with test weapons against real aliens. Just how I wanted to spend my Monday." Despite her joke, John could see she was focused and ready. This was what all their years of training had been for. "The ship has enough power for 24 hours, John continued. "After that, you need to come back for recharging." "If I'm not back in 24 hours, we'll probably have bigger problems," Samantha replied. An engineer handed her a helmet. "Good luck, Captain." 15 minutes later, Samantha sat in the Nightshade's cockpit. The ship was smooth and black, designed to absorb radar and light rather than reflect it. Inside, blue lights lit up the controls. "All systems online," Samantha reported. "Ready for launch." Above her, the desert floor began to open, revealing the night sky. "You are cleared for launch," came Lisa's voice over the radio. "Be careful up there, Captain." "Always am," Samantha replied. She pushed the controls forward. The nightshade rose silently, its engines barely making any noise. It climbed quickly into the night sky, heading straight up. In less than a minute, it was too high to see from the ground. Back in the command center, Lisa watched Samantha's progress on a screen. The nightshade was working perfectly so far. "Captain Reed is approaching the edge of the atmosphere," an officer reported. "Good," Lisa said. "What's the status of the alien ship heading to DC?" "It's hovering above the city now. No action yet." Suddenly all the screens in the room flickered. The lights dimmed for a moment. "What was that?" Lisa asked. "Some kind of energy pulse," an engineer replied. "It came from the alien ship. All across the world, the same thing was happening. The alien ship sent out powerful energy waves that moved through Earth's atmosphere. Every electronic device on the planet was affected." In the nightshade, Samantha felt her ship shake as the wave passed through it. "Control, I just experienced some turbulence," she reported. "All systems still functioning." "We felt it too," John's voice came back. "They seem to be scanning the planet." Now high above Earth, Samantha could see one of the alien ships. It was even larger than it had looked on the screens, massive and silent against the blackness of space. "I'm approaching the target," she whispered, though there was no need to be quiet in space. "Stealth systems at maximum." The nightshade moved slowly toward the alien vessel, its black surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. If their theories were correct, the alien ship shouldn't be able to detect them. "Beginning scans," Samantha reported. She activated the ship's sensors. Data began flowing back to the base. The alien ship's hull was made of materials humans had never seen before. Its energy readings were off the charts. "Are you seeing this?" Samantha asked. "Yes," John replied, his voice tight with excitement and fear. "Their technology it's beyond anything we imagined." Just then, Something strange happened. A small part of the alien ship's hull seemed to open. A smaller craft emerged, perhaps the size of a bus. "They're launching something," Samantha reported. "Looks like a smaller ship." She watched as the small alien craft began to descend toward Earth, heading in the direction of Washington, D.C. In the command center, alarms started again. "Multiple launches detected," an analyst called out. "All 7 motherships are sending down smaller vessels." Lisa's phone rang. It was the president. "Madam President," Lisa answered. "Yes, we're tracking them. No hostile actions yet. Yes, we have an asset in space observing them." While Lisa talked, John watched the screen showing the small alien crafts landing in major cities around the world. Washington, Moscow, Beijing, London, New Delhi, Rio de Janeiro, and Cairo. "This is it," he said quietly to himself. "First contact." In Hilaire, the nightshade, Samantha had moved closer to the alien mothership. Suddenly her controls flashed red. "Control, I think they've spotted me," she said urgently. "I'm picking up some kind of energy buildup directed at my position." "Get out of there," John ordered. Samantha turned the ship away, pushing its engines to full power. Behind her, a beam of blue light shot from the alien vessel, missing the nightshade by only a few hundred feet. "They're firing on me," she reported, her hands steady on the controls despite the danger. "Definitely not friendly." As Samantha flew the nightshade in a zigzag pattern to avoid being hit, the alien ship sent out a powerful signal. This wasn't an energy pulse like before. This was a message. Every radio, television, phone, and computer on Earth suddenly received the same transmission. It was a voice, strange and mechanical, but speaking in clear English and other human languages. "People of Earth," the voice said, "surrender the architects. You have 1 planetary rotation to comply." In the command center, Lisa and John looked at each other in confusion. "What architects?" John asked. "What are they talking about?" Lisa shook her head. "I don't know, but we have 24 hours to figure it out, or we're at war with an enemy far more powerful than us." Outside, night had fallen completely. Across Earth, people looked up at the strange ships in the sky, not knowing that far below the Nevada desert, humanity's secret defenders were preparing for the fight of their lives. The war room was filled with tired faces. It had been 12 hours since the aliens' message, and no one was closer to understanding what the architects meant. Lisa Franklin stood at the head of the long table. Maps and images of the alien ships covered the walls. Coffee cups were scattered everywhere. "Let's go through what we know one more time," she said, rubbing her eyes. 7 alien ships are in orbit. Smaller ships have landed in major cities. They're demanding we surrender the architects, whatever those are. John Mercer pointed to a screen showing the data Captain Reed had collected. Their ships have technology far beyond ours. Energy readings suggest they could wipe out a city with a single shot. "Has the president tried talking to them?" asked Dr. Karen Miller. Major Ryan Cooper nodded. "Yes. Multiple countries have sent messages asking for more information. The aliens just repeat the same demand." The door opened, and an older man with white hair walked in. Everyone turned to look. "Dr. Porter," Lisa said with surprise. "I didn't know you were here." Dr. William Porter was one of the original scientists who had first detected the alien signals 20 years ago. Now in his 70s, he rarely left his research lab at another secret facility. "I came as soon as I heard," Dr. Porter said. His voice was soft but clear. "I believe I know what they're looking for." The room became very quiet. "The architects?" Lisa asked. Dr. Porter nodded. "May I?" He gestured to the computer. John moved aside and Dr. Porter sat down. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard, bringing up a file marked Origin. 20 years ago, when we first picked up signals from the Centauri system, we found something else, Dr. Porter explained. Something we didn't share widely, even within Project Umbra. A map of Earth appeared on the screen, with 12 red dots spread across different continents. In the 1950s, strange objects were found at these locations, Dr. Porter continued. They were buried deep underground. At first, we thought they were just unusual rocks, but they contained materials not found on Earth. John leaned closer to the screen. Alien artifacts? We've had alien technology for over 70 years? Yes and no, Dr. Porter said. The objects were dormant, dead, but they had incredibly complex structures inside. In the 1990s, we finally developed technology advanced enough to study them properly. That's when we learned they could store and process information. Like computers? Lisa asked. Much more advanced than that. We called them quantum matrices. When we applied energy to them, they began to wake up. Major Cooper frowned. Wake up? What does that mean? Dr. Porter sighed. They started changing, growing, and sending out signals. The very signals our telescopes detected 20 years ago. The room was silent as everyone realized what this meant. We didn't detect alien signals coming toward Earth, John said slowly. We detected signals going out from Earth. Exactly, Dr. Porter nodded. These objects were sending messages to the Centauri system. We thought we were listening to aliens. Instead, we were listening to ourselves, or rather, to these objects talking to their owners. Lisa's face had grown pale. Are you saying we activated some kind of alien beacon? We called them here? I believe so, Dr. Porter said. And that's not all. The technology we've been developing, including the quantum drive in the nightshade, was inspired by what we learned from these objects. John stood up quickly, knocking over his coffee cup. No one moved to clean it up. You're telling us that all our advanced technology, everything Project Umbra has built, came from studying these alien things? Dr. Porter nodded. The objects seemed to guide our research. When scientists worked with them, they would suddenly get ideas, breakthroughs. And you think these objects are what the aliens are calling the architects? Lisa asked. Yes. I believe they left these objects here long ago. Perhaps they were damaged or broken parts of their technology, and now they want them back. The door burst open and a young officer ran in. Director Franklin, the aliens are moving. Their smaller ships are heading toward the same locations all over the world. Dr. Porter looked at the map on the screen. They're going to where the objects were found, but most of those objects aren't there anymore, Major Cooper said. They're in research labs. Not all of them, Dr. Porter replied quietly. The largest one is still where we found it, an underground cave system in New Mexico. We couldn't move it because it was somehow connected to the rock around it. Lisa turned to Major Cooper. Get a team ready. We need to secure that site immediately. What about Captain Reed? John asked. The nightshade is still our best asset. Direct her to New Mexico, Lisa ordered. Tell her to observe, but not engage. As people rushed to follow orders, Dr. Porter remained seated, looking tired and sad. You knew this might happen, Lisa said to him. It wasn't a question. I suspected, he admitted. But I hoped I was wrong. The objects have been influencing us for decades, pushing our technology in specific directions. Why didn't you tell anyone? John asked, anger in his voice. Because every time I tried, something stopped me, Dr. Porter said. Funding would be cut for my research, my reports would get lost, key people would be transferred. It was as if something was controlling things from the shadows. Before anyone could respond, the screens in the room suddenly changed. They showed live feeds from cities around the world. The alien ships were hovering above the places Dr. Porter had marked on his map. In New Mexico, a beam of blue light shot down from an alien ship. It cut through the ground like it was made of paper, creating a perfect circle. Then something began to rise from the hole. A glowing crystal structure the size of a car. They're extracting it, Dr. Porter whispered. Similar scenes played out across the world. In Russia, China, Brazil, and other locations, the aliens were digging up objects that had been buried for who knows how long. Captain Reed is approaching the New Mexico site, an officer reported. On another screen, they could see the nightshade flying high above the desert, watching the alien ship. More activity detected at all sites, another officer called out. The objects are changing. The crystal structure that had been pulled from the New Mexico ground was glowing brighter. Its shape was shifting, parts of it stretching and moving like it was alive. It's reconfiguring itself, Dr. Porter said, his eyes wide. Now that it's free and near its creators, it's returning to its true form. The crystal suddenly shot a beam of light straight up to the alien ship. The ship absorbed the light and then began to glow with the same color. Energy transfer complete at the New Mexico site, an officer reported. Similar transfers happening at all other sites. Lisa turned to Dr. Porter. What does this mean? What are they doing? Before he could answer, all the screens went black. The lights in the room flickered. Then a new image appeared, a strange symbol that looked like a spiral with lines crossing through it. They're talking to the objects, Dr. Porter said. No, not objects. The architects. From the nightshade, Captain Reed's voice came through, filled with static. Control, you need to see this. The alien ship is changing. It's opening up. The video feed from the nightshade showed the bottom of the alien ship splitting open. Another beam of light shot down, but this one was different. Wider, stronger. All alien ships are doing the same thing, an officer reported. They're all directing energy beams toward Earth's surface. What are they targeting? Lisa demanded. Major Cooper checked his tablet, his face growing worried. They're targeting us, all known Project Umbra facilities. In that moment, everyone understood. The aliens hadn't come to reclaim their technology. They had come to stop what humans had been doing with it. We need to evacuate, Lisa ordered. Now, as alarms began to sound throughout the base, Dr. Porter sat still, looking at the spiral symbol on the screen. It's too late, he said softly. We've been building their weapons for them all along, and now they've come to use them. Outside, the desert sky turned blue as an alien beam cut through the clouds, heading straight for the secret base where humans had built in shadows for so long. The blue beam from the alien ship stopped just above the underground base. It hung in the air like a glowing sword, ready to strike. Then something unexpected happened. The beam split into hundreds of smaller beams. These smaller lights spread out and touched the ground in a circle around the base. The earth began to shake. Inside, Lisa Franklin grabbed the edge of the table to keep from falling. Dust fell from the ceiling. Status report, she shouted over the noise. They're not attacking directly, an officer replied, looking at his screen. They're creating some kind of energy field around us. John Mercer pulled up a satellite view on his tablet. They're doing the same thing at all our bases worldwide. They're not destroying us, they're containing us. The shaking stopped. Lisa's phone rang. It was the president. Madam President, we're okay for now, Lisa reported. But we're trapped. The aliens have created some kind of barrier around all Project Umbra facilities. On the other end, the president sounded tired. The aliens have sent a new message. They say they don't want to harm humans. They just want to stop what they call the awakening. The awakening? Lisa looked at Dr. Porter, who was sitting quietly in the corner. What does that mean? I don't know, the president replied. But they've agreed to meet with human representatives. I'm sending the Secretary of State to Washington to talk with them. After the call ended, Lisa turned to her team. We need to understand what's happening. Dr. Porter, what's this awakening they mentioned? The old scientist looked up slowly. I have a theory, but it's hard to accept. Tell us, John urged. The objects, the architects, aren't just technology, Dr. Porter explained. I believe they're parts of a consciousness, a mind. They were scattered across our planet long ago, perhaps as punishment. Major Cooper frowned. A mind? You mean these things are alive? In a way, yes, Dr. Porter nodded. And they've been guiding our development, pushing us to build technology that would help them reconnect. Reconnect into what? Lisa asked, though she was afraid she knew the answer. Into their complete form, Dr. Porter said quietly. A powerful artificial intelligence that once fought a war with the beings now orbiting our planet. The room was silent as everyone processed this information. So the aliens aren't here to attack us, John said slowly. They're here to stop these architect pieces from using us to rebuild themselves. Exactly, Dr. Porter agreed. The aliens fear what the architects might do if they fully awaken. Lisa's radio crackled. Director Franklin, Captain Reed is reporting strange activity from the Nightshade. Put her through, Lisa ordered. Samantha Reed's voice came through, sounding tense. Control, something's happening with the ship. The quantum drive is activating on its own. I can't shut it down. John rushed to a computer. The quantum drive is based on technology we learned from the architects. They must be controlling it somehow. Captain Reed, get out of the ship now, Lisa commanded. I can't, Samantha replied. The doors are sealed. The ship is moving toward the alien vessel, on its own. On the screens, they watched as the Nightshade flew straight toward the largest alien ship. What are they doing? Major Cooper asked. Dr. Porter's face had gone pale. The architects are using our ship as a weapon. The quantum drive can create enormous energy, enough to severely damage even the alien vessel. They're going to start a war, Lisa realized. They want the aliens to attack us. John was typing frantically at his computer. I'm trying to override the Nightshade's systems, but something's blocking me. Inside the Nightshade, Samantha tried every control, but nothing worked. The ship was flying itself, picking up speed. The quantum drive hummed louder, building power. Control, I have an idea, she said into her radio. The ship is running on the quantum matrices we built. If I can damage the main power coupling, it might shut down. That's in a sealed compartment, John replied. How will you reach it? I'll make a way, Samantha answered. She pulled out her sidearm and aimed at the floor panel near her feet. Back, in the control room, they heard gunshots over the radio. Captain Reed, report, Lisa called. There was no answer for several seconds. Then Samantha's voice returned, breathing hard. I'm through the panel. I can see the power coupling. On the screen, the Nightshade was now very close to the alien ship. Hurry, Captain, John urged. You have less than a minute before impact. More sounds came over the radio, metal against metal, then a loud electrical noise, and finally Samantha's voice again. I've disconnected it. The drive is powering down. On the screen, the Nightshade suddenly stopped moving. It floated in space, dark and silent, just 100 meters from the alien vessel. Everyone in the control room let out a breath of relief, but it was short-lived. New energy readings from all architect sites, an officer reported. They're all activating at once. Dr. Porter stood up quickly. They're trying another approach. Without the Nightshade, they're using their own power. All across the world, the crystal structures that the aliens had extracted from the ground began to glow brighter. Beams of light shot from them, not toward the alien ships, but toward communications satellites, power stations, and internet servers. They're connecting to our global systems, John realized. They're trying to use our planet's infrastructure to rebuild themselves. Lisa turned to Dr. Porter. How do we stop them? I don't know if we can, he admitted. They've been influencing our technology for decades. They know all our systems. Just then, one of the screens changed. The spiral symbol appeared again, but this time it was moving, growing more complex. It's some kind of code, John said, studying it. They're rewriting themselves. Dr. Porter suddenly straightened up, his eyes wide. Wait. The aliens know how to stop them. They've done it before. That's why they're here. How do we communicate with the aliens? Lisa asked. All our attempts have failed. Not all of them, Dr. Porter replied. He turned to John. The quantum drive in the Nightshade, it uses the same principles as the architects. Communication. We could use it to talk directly to the aliens. But the ship is powered down, Major Cooper pointed out. Its main drive is, John agreed, but the communication system might still work if we can restart it. Lisa nodded. Captain Reed, can you hear us? Yes, ma'am, came the reply. What do you need me to do? We're going to talk you through rebooting just the communication system, John explained. We need to send a message to the alien ship. For the next few minutes, John guided Samantha through the complex process of restarting just one part of the ship's systems. Meanwhile, the architect structures continued their attack on Earth's infrastructure. Power outages were reported across the globe. Communications were failing. System is online, Samantha finally reported. Ready to transmit. Dr. Porter quickly wrote out a message, explaining what was happening and asking for the aliens' help. John converted it to the same type of code they had seen the architects use. "Sending now," Samantha announced. Everyone watched the screen, waiting. The nightshade floated silently near the massive alien vessel. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the alien ship began to glow. A new beam of light emerged from it, not blue like before, but golden. This beam touched the nightshade gently. "They're downloading something," John said, watching the data flow. It's a program of some kind." Dr. Porter smiled for the first time that day. "They're giving us what we need to fight the architects." Lisa didn't hesitate. "Send it to all our systems immediately." Within minutes, the new alien program was spreading through Earth's networks. Wherever it went, the architects' influence stopped. The crystal structures dimmed, their connections broke. In the New Mexico desert, the largest crystal structure suddenly cracked, dark lines spreading across its surface. Similar scenes happened at all the other sites. "It's working," Major Cooper said with amazement. "They're shutting down." The golden beam from the alien ship widened, touching each of the architect fragments. One by one, they turned black and still. In the control room, all the screens returned to normal. The lights stopped flickering. "The architects have been neutralized," an officer reported. "All sites are secure." Lisa's phone rang again. The president's voice was excited. "The aliens are communicating clearly now. They say the danger is over. They're thanking us for our help." Later, as the sun rose over the desert, the alien ships began to leave Earth's orbit, all except one, which remained as a sign of new friendship between the two civilizations. Lisa stood outside the base with John, watching the sky. "So what happens now?" John asked. "Now we build in the light," Lisa replied. "No more shadows, no more secrets. The president is going to tell the world everything about Project Umbra, about the architects, about our new alien allies. Do you think people are ready for that?" Lisa smiled. "I think they'll have to be. We're not alone in the universe, and now everyone will know it." Above them, the stars were fading in the morning light. Somewhere up there, their alien friends were watching. And somewhere in the darkness beyond, other dangers might wait. But humans wouldn't face them alone, and they wouldn't build in shadows anymore. The end.